All right, we're here. Mert and I are here.
We're here.
It's February, but we're going to talk January in this new segment. We'll call it a new segment called "What the Hell Happened." So, what the hell happened in January? But before we start, all the housekeeping. I saw some really good hits on an interview the other day that we put up, but we need to get the subscribers up and the shares and the likes. So, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get the notifications, because the more subscribers we get, the more reach we can get, which means the more interviews we get, the more content we get, which is better for everyone. You can find us anywhere, here to Zen on all the socials. Again, the more reach we get, the more shit we get, and we want to bring you more shit, the good shit. All right.
That's not confusing whatsoever.
I
But
know.
yeah, look, and local Aussie, reviews, local Aussie talent as well as international. So come on, guys, make an effort. Brisbane based. But yeah, let's get out there and help us out. Share, like, subscribe. As the man said, now let's talk some shit.
This episode is proudly presented by One World Entertainment and the Smashing Pumpkins' The World is a Vampire Festival, running from April 15 through to April 30. Go to oneworldentertainment.com.au for more information. And now on with the show. Talk some shit. So we're going to talk about stuff we've seen, stuff we've heard, and some observations from the last month. There's been some really, really, really good music coming out, like Maneskin. If people don't know them, they won, they came second in X Factor Italy 2017. They won Eurovision 2021, I think. They've opened for the Stones. Everyone has to have heard their big song "Beggin'" somewhere. They're straight out of the 70s. It's a bit, I'm going to sound a bit rude here and say, but it could almost be the soundtrack to a porno. But I dig it. They're great. They're talented. They're really talented. And I think that says a lot. So Rush came out in January. I really hope we see him down here, but it's just a good pop rock album. What about for you, Mert? What's
Man, I totally agree. I just think, as I said, 20th of Jan, this came out. It was awesome. It was fresh. It reminds me a little. It's got so many different, genres in it, but it's a little bit panic, the disco sort of vibe to it. It's I love Gossip. I think that's a great track off the album, Tom Morello, and I think that's really cool having him on board as well. But great production, great fresh new band, and they sound like they're fun, and they sound like they're having fun, and it's just I don't know. I don't know what to call the album. Is it pop rock? It's got a bit of everything in it. It's just
it does.
it makes you want to tap your foot and go, yeah, this is really cool. So
Yep.
kudos to these guys. I think they're going to be something to watch out for. And I think it's great album. Crush is a great album.
I'm waiting for an Australian tour. I think they're probably big enough to do like your 1,000 to 1,500 seaters here minimum. So considering the amount of tours we're getting every single day, I'm amazed that we haven't seen them. Or do we see them at the end of the year on something like a Good Things maybe?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, you're right. It probably would hang along in a festival scenario, but they would probably suit that, high up the order, very much so. But it'd be nice to see them come here. And I think the way they're going with that album, I think Crush is going to be something to, I think everyone from, your hard rockers to your metalheads are going to really like this. I personally think it's one of my albums of the year so far. So it's early in the year, but
Yep.
man, it's fresh. It's really fresh. It's really cool, really fun.
Pumpkins, the Pumpkins doing their 3-part rock opera. It's not going to be for everyone at all. Like if you're thinking you're going to get 1979 and Tonight, you're kidding yourself. Like you are absolutely kidding yourself. But you can tell that Billy Corgan doesn't actually give a fuck what anyone thinks. He makes what he wants. So it's taken me a little bit to adjust to the newer songs, but I can understand. Like I've always been that kind of guy that the album that was shit panned by everybody, generally the Left of Center album by any band, I end up loving. Like the two that come to mind are the Motley Crue '94 album with John Corabi and Skid Row's Subhuman Race. Another one is Three Sides by Extreme. The left of center albums I've always gravitated towards. So who knows? In the end, I might make a single album playlist out of all the tracks I like off the three. You know.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. It's definitely a different album, and I guess totally different from, you know, the big Melancholy and Siamese Dream, and, you know, like, obviously with the hype around the tour at the moment, which is, you know, been announced, which is pretty cool. I kind of missed the boat a little bit with the Pumpkins. It was that time when I was sort of getting a bit out of the grunge and really had enough of it and that sort of alternative scene. So I guess at the time for me, actually, so long ago I can't remember, but I didn't pay a lot of attention to what, you know, apart from their big hits of that time. But listening to this, like, it's very different. It reminds me, it's epic, as it says, like, you know, part 1 and 2 have been released, or part 3. So it's like an epic. It reminds me of Floyd, or it reminds me of something. I don't know. It's just this. The more I listen to it, and you're right, I think it's going to grow. The more I listen, the production is so clean. It's so tight. The vocals are just really nice. Everything's so clear, and it's definitely an album to listen to, I think, properly. And the more I listen to it, I think, yeah, it's going to be a grower. And but never really being a huge fan, I think this might hook me in a little bit. I think I'm just going to have to give it a bit of a crack in the car and, yeah, give it a bit more of a listen. But, yeah, epic nonetheless.
What else? Valo, singer from Him. I don't think him are around anymore. So he's now doing solo, Neon Noir. Again, I actually think you could probably lump that in with Pumpkins. It's pretty lush. It's pretty epic. It's a bit haunting. It's really not going to be anyone's cup of tea. If you really love that Euro moody shit, it's up your alley.
Look, I totally think you're right, man. I think being a massive fan of him, it was clear to me they were sort of heading in this direction. The last couple of albums they were going, but his solo stuff is really, you know, no, it's a different thing, him and his solo stuff, but I could tell he wanted to go to a more softer, and to me it's softer. It's just, I could see it sitting on a Him album, but it's a lot, again, great production, very smooth, very easy listening. If you love him, you'll love, obviously, solo work, which all the fans will anyway. But look, really like the album. Just good background album to listen to. It doesn't give you a headache. It's just great vocals. Always loved his vocals. His vocals were amazing, and loved him. But this is like, it's clear. Like, this made like #1 Finnish charts. It's got #4 in the German charts, 13 in Austria, 19 in the Swiss charts. So it's massive in Europe. You know, so he's doing wonders with this solo release, which is obviously pretty shit hot over there, and #1 obviously in Finland, which makes sense. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I wish him all the best with it. It's a great album.
It's a bit too loungy for my liking. It's a bit too relaxed.
It's very laid back, and yeah, I tend to agree with that. And it's not for everyone, as you say.
Yeah, but I've also got to remember that, you know, artists mature, artists grow. So, you know, that might just be his logical progression in life. Like, my first exposure to him was like on the show Viva La Bam. I knew Bam Margera was like the most major hymn nut swinger in the world. So, you know, I saw that and I was like, yeah, cool. And then I listened to this, I was like, the fuck? Like, but I get it. I get it.
It's certainly no My Sweet 666 or, you know, Wicked Game cover. It's definitely, your lounge. I think it's very chilled, very relaxed. Loungy. But definitely, you listen to this, you're going to know it's him. Whether you think it's a really solo album or you're just going to go, hey, I know that voice, I know that. Yeah. And look, fans will love it. Will it? I think it'll grow on me, but for how long, I don't know.
Yeah.
But very cool.
The other one I want to talk about is local talent, and we'll call them Friends of the Zen, the Pierce brothers. They're our buddies. They've done a little bit of a collaboration with Tash Sultana, who is amazing. High and Unsteady is out. The big thing about it is that everyone needs to go watch the clip. So the clip is actually made up of like thousands of film photos taken
Massive.
on the streets of Melbourne. Like, that's nuts. And as a photographer, I just think someone shooting on film is one of the greatest things. We've talked about it before. I took Mert along to see the Pierce brothers last year. They are unique beyond unique. You can't walk out of there and not smile and have a hoot. So the new song's amazing. Again, really great textures, great sounds. I love it.
Oh, look, totally agree. Jack and Pat really hit it. And look, as you said, Tash Sultana, my God, what can't that chick play? My God, incredible. The vocals on this single, I think, are amazing. The song is catchy. It's toe tapping. And as you said, man, I walked away from that gig not knowing what to expect, not really knowing the Pierce brothers, but walking away that gig last year with a smile from ear to ear. I mean, absolutely one of the most, I'm going to say funnest. That's not a word. Fun gigs.
It is now.
It is now. For us, it is. So fuck it.
Funnest.
One of the most fun gigs I've ever been to, like funnest gigs I've ever been to. So, yeah, it's just kudos to those guys. You want to see a live show, you see these guys playing near you, go see them. They're great, amazing. Do you, as that dickhead in the hat says, do yourself a favor. Like seriously, they are so bloody good live.
Dickhead in the hat with no pants.
With no pants. Why? Actually, no, I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, no.
I've got so much to say about that, but I'm not going to. Actually, we're not. We're going to move on. We're going to move on.
Look like two melted Easter eggs coming through a shopping bag.
We weren't going to go there. Okay, I can only say that Elton did it as a bet because he said, look, man, if you do that, because there's no other reasoning. I know the guy. Anyway, no, I'm not going to go there.
Yep.
All right. For me, another one was Black Star Riders. It came out on the 20th of Jan, which I love the Black Star Riders. I think they're so cool. Just great rock and roll. I think album number 5, I think they're up to now. They've been consistent all the way. Obviously, the guys from the Thin Lizzy touring, what was left of Thin Lizzy, I guess, and they did the Black Star Riders. And man, these guys go from strength to strength. I love this album. Wrong Side of Paradise from Earache Records, which was, again, consistent, rocky, just a top album. If you want rock and roll, you want hard rock, Black Star Riders.
Now, I think all of the ex-Thin Lizzy guys are out now. So I think it's just the 4-piece. So like you've got Ricky Warwick, you've got Christian Martucci, who plays in Stone Sour, Corey Taylor's solo band on guitar. Robbie Crane, who is like the hardest working bass player of all time on bass. And, Robbie gets a little bit of flack for coming out of that 80s scene, but you're not going to get a more solid bass player and amazing BV guy out there. Like, he is just there. That's why every band that has someone that can't make a gig or whatever, they call Robbie, and he's got to set down on the flight, gets on stage, does his thing. Like, I agree with you. I remember seeing them when they were still sort of morphing between Lizzy and Black Star.
Yeah.
And going, oh, shit, that's pretty awesome. But you're right, it is strength to strength, isn't it?
Oh, look, it just gets better with these guys. I know that, as you said, they had some lineup changes and a lot of things happening with the band, but, I just thought, wow, they sound so good. And it's just a classic hard rock album, in my opinion. For anyone who loves hard rock, I mean, check it out. It's just consistent, very consistent. And they do it so well, considering the amount of changes it had and, I guess, stuff-ups they've had with a few things. But, they do it really well.
Yeah. What else you got?
I got a few things on my list. I know Uriah Heep, Chaos and Colour. They came out Jan 27. They've been around since 1969. So these guys have been, I guess, the heavyweights of, around there with Zeppelin and Purple and the 70s cream of the crop. But not, not having a lot of exposure to Uriah Heep because I was sort of like a kid of the 80s, more into the, the Wasps and the Slaughters and the Poisons and all that sort of stuff, but learning to love Deep Purple and so forth. But look, very consistent Uriah Heep. I mean, the vocals sound great. I mean, everything sounds really cool. Very 70s vibe to it. Very well produced yet again, but it fits in well with current times, if that makes any sense. It's got that feel of something, that was released in the 70s, but it fits into now, which is really cool. So again, look, hats off to those guys. I think it's just a great, consistent album. So it's good to see them out there still rocking.
Yeah. My only really exposure to them was having to do some meet and greet photos from like 2010, and all lovely guys, like put on a great show, really personable with the fans. The one thing I walked away from it going was how rock solid they were live, like just flawless live.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, when you listen to a record and you go, man, that's tight. Like that sounds tight. So it just makes me, usually when bands are that good, they really put that performance on stage and they really nail it as well. So
Yeah,
this record sounds really, really cool. Like I love the vibe of it. It sounds, as I said, it sounds new, but it sounds old. So it's something, yeah, it's just with the keys and everything else. It's just really, really cool. And I just thought I'd throw that out there because I think that deserves an honourable mention for a band that's been around for so long and still rocking and still doing their thing, that are probably, you know, not as well, I was going to say should be well known, but not as getting the credit they deserve, I guess, for what they do.
yeah, they're a bit blue collar.
Yeah. So, and even in the day, I guess, you know, you had your Purples, your Zeppelins, and everything else sort of taking the limelight, and these guys were still cranking on in the background doing their thing. Massive following, obviously, but yeah, it just makes me think that they deserve so much more.
Yeah, what have you got in the way of all the heavy shit? Like the heavy shit's your area compared to me.
Heavy shit. Oh man, look, before I get to that, I might get to. There's a couple of heavy things, but more progressive. I've got looking at my notes here. There's so much shit written down because the memory's fucked. Along with everything else. Catatonia just released, Sky by the Stars, which is progressive rock. These guys have been around for a little while. I mean, album number 12. I think it's album number 12, since 93. So to me, they've changed their vibe. They were sort of really heavy and really dark and really weird. Now it's just really cool progressive rock. I really love this album. I just think it's different enough to be, to me, it's just hard rock. It's just, you know, almost like your Dream Theater. It's just progression, but it's Catatonia have got their own style. You know, I think like your Evergrades and a few of those other bands in that sort of vein, they do their own thing and they're not scared to keep doing their own thing. So again, they've changed their style so many times over the years, but now they've got what I would say their niche of music. That doesn't make any sense. Their own style. They do what they do. Catatonia that's what they do. But it's an awesome album. Such a top album. So
one of those bands that sort of stays in the pocket.
Yeah, you listen to it and every song is slightly different, but every song is good. It's every, you listen to an album, you go, oh, you know, there's track 1 or track 2 that's really good, but you know, 4, 5, 6 are pretty average. This is a consistent record again. I keep banging on about production for 23 so far in January. My God, it's been amazing. All these albums are all different in their own way, but they just sound great. It sounds fresh. To me, it sounds fresh. It's every band is again different, but yeah, it's like getting to a point where I'm almost getting bored of the same rehash music. But these bands are doing different things, and it's just sort of giving me more of an awakening to some of these new albums, I guess. So, but that's definitely one to look out for. The heavy shit. Well, there's Obituary have released Dying of Everything, which is probably not a bad title considering the last few years we have.
Yep.
If it's not COVID that's going to fucking kill us, it's something else that will. It's probably the fucking RBA's interest rates at the moment. But anyway, great album. These guys are death metal. They're death verging on thrash metal. They've created another album that I feel should have been back in the 90s, you know, with your Creators, with your Cannibal Corpse and those sort of bands. Again, production has made it sound like it should be back then. So it's got that doomy and gloomy sound, but it sounds clear and crisp, and it's done really well. I think the producer, I don't know who produced the albums. I didn't have my research on that, but I know they got the old Mesa Boogies and a few of the old style amps and stuff to record this album, and hence to get that sound. So excuse my ignorance on some of the detail there, but and that's through Relapse Records, which is really, really cool. So but if you like thrash, if you like the old school thrash death metal, these guys pretty much stick to their guns. And very, very cool. So each song is, what I would call traditional death metal, which is fucking great.
Yeah, you
Love
love
it. Look, I love all different genres, but yeah, love the death metal as well. So, and Sabaton was just another one, another great epic band. So many good Swedish bands, man. Everyone comes from Sweden. My God. Here I go again with the production.
Yeah,
Massive,
yeah.
massive, massive, massive. So this is the second part of a trilogy these guys are doing. I don't know how many songs you can sing about war, but these guys sing about war every song. So I just, yeah, Heroes of the Great War EP. It's got 7 songs on it. Some full-length albums are only 7 songs.
I
So
was going to say,
they call this an EP. So this is the second release of the trilogy, called Echoes of the Great War. So obviously there'll be a third release later in the year. The clarity of this album is incredible. The sounds, it's massive. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them recently at the Good Things. It was
Yep.
Good Things, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't have the chance to go, but I would have loved to have seen them. But hopefully they'll be back with another band that would sit nicely if they toured with someone else that would probably suit them, I guess. Maybe a Monomath, but they're coming with obviously Knotfest. A band like that, to tour with that would be awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, I hope to see them back. But great EP. What I call these guys, like Judas Priest, I call it Anthrax. To me, it's Anthrax probably not a good example, but pure metal. I think Judas Priest are pure heavy metal. I call these guys Sabbath. They're just pure metal. It's just heavy fucking metal. So not thrashy death. It's just heavy fucking metal. So great album. So or EP, however you look at it. So
I'm going to call it an EEP, an extended play.
yeah, well, it's very good point. I was trying to figure it out. I was thinking 7 songs. Other
You're right,
bands
though.
struggle with 7 songs, but anyway. So yeah, another cracker. Definitely worth a look.
Yeah. What else you got? Like album wise, is that it for you for albums?
That's it. I'm not sure if you wanted to do a bit of a mention. I'm not sure about a lot of detail about the Heroes and Monsters.
Oh
with
yeah, those fellas, those blokes.
Yeah, those blokes that your mates, and I thought you might want to have a little bit of a.
Well, if you don't know Heroes and Monsters, it is so there's a label, Frontiers. They have a habit, and it can be good or bad depending on who you ask. They like to assemble quote unquote supergroups. So you've got like your Sweet and Lynch with George Lynch and Michael Sweet from Striper. There's been plenty of them throughout the years where it's done like that, and the bands very rarely tour. The bands very rarely sort of go past one album. So this is Steph Burns. I think Steph played with Alice Cooper for a stretch. Will Hunt from Evanescence, who's an absolute fucking beast. The guy is just stupidly good on drums. And some bloke that sings and plays a bit of bass called Todd Kearns.
He's not too bad, that bloke, is he?
He's kind of tall. We don't like him a lot around these parts. Damn Canadians.
I'm warming to him, yeah. But
yeah, I've got to say, besides the fact he's sort of an unofficial member of the family here, you can tell when he puts his stamp on something. Like he wouldn't have gone into this as like, oh look, Frontiers has given us some cash. Let's see what we can do. He would have wanted it to represent who he is, and he's a road dog. He's a fucking rock star. Like he's that kind of guy that gets in the van, gets in the bus, gets on the shitty flight. There's no airs and graces, and the album's like that. It's just rock. There's some epic shit on there too, but it's a rock album. If you like straight up rock, a bit of old school, bit of 80s, bit of 70s thrown around for good measure, like the playing on it's ridiculous. It's ridiculously good. But you are getting 3 players at the top of their game. So, I look at that and I go, yep, you got bands like the Winery Dogs. It'll probably come up in the next episode because they've just released their new cracker. But, the Winery Dogs were put together in a very similar way. But, and they're touring. And I think with Heroes and Monsters, they're in Italy right now doing a little small run. So the album's barely been out and they've got off on a little tour and the schedule's aligned, they were off. So take out the fact that Todd's in Slash, Will's in Evanescence. you've got three guys that just play their shit really well, wrote some good songs, and the album speaks for itself. Again, production. Great production.
It is. I saw it when I was seeing the video. I know you brought it to my attention, and I was watching the video. I thought, wow. And mates of mine were sort of saying, hey, have you checked this out? So, yeah, it's pretty killer. It was just one of those songs that just grabs you by the balls and go, you know what? That is a cool rock song. That is, very, very cool. And the guys do it well. And all jokes aside, Todd, my God, you know, what a musician, you know. Yeah. Absolutely. There's not much that guy can't do, you know. So, and you're right, the lineup of that band, phenomenal. So, yeah, I hope we'll see a bit more of those guys, and who knows, maybe something will happen.
Now, a bit of general news that, like, while I'm not a big fan, I know you dug them, but I like them just for the nostalgia factor. Twisted Sister did a one-off when they got inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame. First time playing since 2016. Of course, you've got Mike Portnoy filling in for the late AJ Pero on drums. But I love the fact that they didn't Twisted Sister it. They just street closed the show. Like, they didn't go the whole hog, which would make people think they were going to reunite.
Yeah, look, and D, I mean, my God, it was great to see that. And you're right, they're not going to reform. They're just reunited for this, which was very cool. And there's already talk about reforming and so forth and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I hope it happens, by the way, but I don't think it ever will. But it was nice to see that happen. And, you know, with Mark Mendoza, JJ Friends, AJ Pero, Eddie Ojeda, I can't even talk now. And Mike Portnoy, you're right. And JJ French, it was great to see these guys get up on stage, and, you know, even with the scream and the shout with D a couple of years back, my God, you know, that guy, he's looked after his vocals. He's the fittest son of a bitch I've ever seen for his age. Like, my God, you know, he put anyone to shame. The energy, and clearly it was shown on that as well. It was incredible. It was nice to see. And it was great. It was just brought back a lot of memories, and it was really cool. Made it happen. So, yeah, I was very happy to see that.
Good to see JJ finally ditch the rug too.
I'm still, and I'm still, look, I'm going to have to say it. Mark, the animal, Mendoza, what are you doing, dude? Like, you know, I can't talk. I've got a cracker. That's why I've got a hat on. But, you know,
he stopped going to Home Depot and buying spray cans to put your hair and beard on. It's not a good look.
No, it's
it looks like someone's marked a road.
It's fucking phenomenal player. My God, he gives that bass grief, and he's just so fucking talented. But yeah, all jokes aside, what a legend. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, may need to work on that. But
but play the bass. You know, where's the fake black grass off your face?
Coming from obviously one like myself is perfect, but that's why I've got the hat on, man. But yeah, fucking great to see him back. So it was awesome and well deserved for the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. It was great to see. So yeah,
let's move into the live arena. I'm actually going to start with one. My most recent sort of one for the end of January. Was it the end of January? I think the Chili's were the end of January. Yeah.
29th of Jan.
Yeah.
I put a note there so I could remember, see memory.
I'm just going to start off and go to all of you people that are whinging about a band set list, shut the fuck up. Like, seriously, shut the fuck up. They put out 2 new albums. They are touring on the album. This wasn't called the Red Hot Chili Peppers play every radio hit in the world fucking tour. They were promoting 2 albums. Like, I heard a story about a lady, I was telling my wife before, that some lady apparently walked out of Suncorp Stadium, so the Brisbane show we were at, after 4 songs and wanted a refund because the singer cut his fucking hair.
Wow.
He cut his fucking hair 20-something years ago, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, okay. That's living in a bit of a time warp there.
Yeah, look, as Hayley said, my better half, like, she was a bit disappointed they didn't play Suck My Kiss, which was one of their bigger ones. She was glad in a way they didn't play Under the Bridge. But the set list was fucking great. My only wish was like they did a really long extended jam to start, and they did a few little long outros on songs because they're great musicians. But I would have loved to have heard those put aside for like 2 or 3 more actual songs. Whether they're album tracks, whether they're hits, whether they're deep cuts, I couldn't really give a shit. But to the point that they had to alter their set list for the second night of Sydney, I think in Melbourne, to play like Under the Bridge and stuff like that. And I was just like, would you shut the fuck up? You know, you're getting a stadium band. We've just come out of the shittiest time for touring bands. 40,000 people there. I don't give a flying fuck. They played great.
Yeah, my daughter and Kevin went along, her partner, and they loved it. You know, they sent us a few shots of the night and a few video. I couldn't make it, unfortunately. It was one of my favourite bands for many, many years. The Chili's have always been out there. They always will be out there. They always will do something crazy and weird. Look at the last couple of albums, and hence you're right. They're touring on those albums, and they're fucking nuts. Let's face it. The Chili's are they're on a different plateau to everyone else. Yeah. So you know what? I would have loved to have heard "Suck My Kiss" as well. There's so many songs. Everyone's got a different opinion on what song they like to hear. But no, she loved it. Kevin loved it. They said it was awesome. But yeah, the Chili's. But obviously, Post Malone stole the show. Apparently.
Fucking Posty was hardcore. I heard some rumors he was miming. Anyone that's seen my photos that I took of him, he's basically breathing on me. He was not miming. I was pretty close to him when I took those photos. I can tell you he was live. He is a fucking rock star. What a legend. Like, he comes out with some sort of weird stripped out dance moves. Like, he looks a bit like Gumby, but what a performer. What a happy guy. Like, he was infectious.
And that's what my daughter said as well. Bianca said, like, you can't help but enjoy what he was doing because she said to me, she goes, Dad, he looked like he was really humbled and loved to be there. He was like almost overwhelmed by what he was doing. And I thought, how cool is that for an artist? The old saying, like, if a band's enjoying themselves, if an artist is enjoying themselves, the crowd are going to enjoy that. Yeah. If you're standing up there with a frown on your face and a don't give a fuck attitude, you're right, that is also infectious to the crowd watching. So, but kudos to him, apparently amazing. And I didn't realize that he had nothing behind him apart from pretty much, it's just him. I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome.
And let's do a big shout out to the crew at Suncorp, because I was waiting to come back in to shoot Chili's, but my wife mentioned they basically pulled down almost a quarter or a third of a stage in record time to rebuild it for Chili's, between Chili's and Post. So,
wow.
To all you shit talkers that want to worry about a set list or a fucking light or the dog ate your homework at the gig, like, there's so much stuff that goes on. Just shut the fuck up.
That sums it up. And look, mate, I've got to give you credit. Like, this is about your photography on the night. If anyone hasn't seen that yet, my God, check out the snaps. Do a bit of a plug because you deserve it. The photos you took that night and these other gigs as well. But those particular photos of Post and Chili's, I think, were incredible, mate. So well done.
Mate. If I'm talented enough, I'll sort of morph a couple over as we go. If not, look up Andrew Treadwell photography. It's all there. But yeah, it's funny that even doing it as long as I have, there are, as you know, I've been on a little bit of a shopping spree with some new equipment lately and a bit of changes, but you sort of have your good nights and your bad nights. And I've never been one to follow photography trends. I just do what I do. And that was a good night. That was a good night with the lens. Like, I walked away going, right, got it, which was good. Cool. Which was good. And, we go from there. The other big one for us was Elton at the same venue at Suncorp. No, so we shot Elton 2019, and that was amazing indoor show. Seeing him in a stadium takes it to a whole other level. I don't know. I know some people prefer indoor because of the sound. Some people prefer outdoor because of the vibe. This was the best of both worlds. Like, he's Elton John. Like, you can't say anything else, but it's Elton fucking John. And great set list. He's surrounded by a great band. Great vibe. Really great vibe. That's the one thing I remember walking out of that gig going, what a great vibe, which is what I want when I go to a gig. I don't care the style of music. I don't care who's playing. I care about the vibe. And it was a vibe. We're going to move on now to one we both went to, Glamfest, which was the two filthy fucking punks from the 80s. Was a beautiful time warp.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, look, man, it certainly was. Like, soon as you posted this and the guys from Silverback put this up saying, Glamfest in January 23, like earlier in 22, I was like, holy crap, Faster Pussycat, we've got Pretty Boy Floyd, we've got Tough. It's like, oh my god, I'm going, Wednesday 13 to throw it in there, guys from Clips. My god, who have I missed? I mean, it's just
Style, our boys.
Yes, Sister Style, oh my god, local talented boys. So man, everything I could have hoped for, because this was the soundtrack to my youth, and I kept banging on about it. I think I drove you nuts. Like, Faster Pussycat, for me, it's just brings back so many good memories.
Yep.
Those bands, those glam bands, I love the heavy stuff, but I also love the glam stuff. I love music. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this was, this to me was just so cool. Like, I never thought I'd get to see some of these artists in Australia, let alone my lifetime. I thought that was it,
Yeah.
But yeah, great gig. And you said about the vibe of the Bright Side. I'd never been to that venue before. Being, for those that don't know, I've sort of spent most of my life in Tassie, so it's been a few years up in Brizzy now. So I'm sort of still learning a lot of these venues. This was my first time to the Bright Side, and I thought it was just a perfect choice for what we had happening that night. It was what I can only imagine would be a sleazy club in LA, with bands and people hanging out, chilling.
I mean this in an actual positive way. It's a shithole. I love the fact it's a shithole. And it's not like, oh, don't go there, it's a shithole. It's a grimy shithole rock club, which is what you want when you go to a rock gig. Graffiti on the walls. You don't want it looking pretty. You want it to look like it's got some stories.
Totally agree.
The fact that it's an old church makes it even better.
That was really cool when you told. I didn't know that, but when you told me that, it was quite obvious when I saw it. But it was cool. It was, and you're right. It reminded me of that dirty strip club / club of the. I don't know. It was perfect for this gig, and everything about this gig was fun. Everything.
If the floor had carpet, you'd get stuck to it.
Pretty much, yeah. But everyone was so accessible, and the people that were there were very cool. They were very, again, that vibe. Everyone was, they were chilling. They were respectful of each other. They went up to see. They obviously had favorite bands, and when the band finished, they moved back. There was never an issue. There was never any pushing and shoving. There was respect. It was just a great vibe. And the good thing for me is the bands were accessible. They came out, they chilled with people. They were very, very easy to talk to, and from personal experience, it's just nice that there was no arrogance, there was no bullshit, there was just happy bands, happy people. Very cool.
We met lots of cool people. A big shout out to our boy Billy Morris from Tough and Warrant back in the day. Billy was a good chat. Like, we were talking. If people don't know, Billy's got a food truck that's been featured in a lot of TV shows and stuff like that. And we just shot the shit with him for a good probably 30 minutes, just talking shit, and it was so much fun.
It was great to learn about his rock and ribs, and what a cool guy. What a down-to-earth, cool, normal person who was just, it was just great. It was good fun. So
I know Tammy was the big one for you, and you got to briefly meet Tammy on his way out the door, which was nice. He was a good chat. Chips Enough was just a legend on stage and off.
He was a legend, and he's larger than life. Like, he's just that personality, you see him from a mile away and you go, wow, that's Chips. You know, he's not going to hide in the crowd, that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so very humbled, you know, my conversations. And he said, I don't know what he said. He said about 10 albums or so. God knows how many albums are out. I can't even remember off the top of my head now.
Yeah.
And he goes, we got 45 minutes, but I'll do my best to play all of them. And I just cracked up. And he goes, plus a couple of Beatles songs.
Plus a couple of Beatles. And what do they open with? Magical Mystery Tour.
Which was great. And wow, man, wasn't that good?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I've always associated those guys with being heavily influenced by the Beatles. And, you know, obviously they had Donnie in the band, but, you know, obviously Chips. But both the vote, it didn't matter. Like, the band sounded incredible. Like, they just sounded like they did back in the day. So anyone who wants to put shit on that at the moment, don't, because, my God, what an incredible band, what an incredible backing vocals, what an incredible sound. They've still got it going on.
And what about Sam, from the guitar player from Faster Pussycat? Holy shit.
I've got him down as an honourable mention. I was stuck on the left fullback, and my God, it was like...
He was loud as fuck.
He was loud as fuck, but my God, he was perfect. He was a dead set rock star.
Yeah.
My God, that guy can play. He can really fucking play. And, you know, you got Ronnie at the other end. My God, Ronnie Simmons, my local talent. So we don't even skip started on that one. But yeah, both those guys in Pussycat, you really, amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Sam just, what a fucking rock star.
Yeah. And he plays with like people like Dorothy, and he plays in a couple other bands. He's young and he's got a big future ahead of him, you can tell.
Oh, look, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Very, very impressive, and such a nice guy as well. So
I want to sort of touch on a few, I'm going to call them negatives, but I do want to clear the air a little bit. I've got two things. One I haven't even told you about. So
this seems very serial.
That could scare you a little. But hey, okay, just so people don't know, Wigwam, the Euro band, have postponed their tour. Apparently one of the people had COVID. I see this tour getting cancelled. Yeah, the promoter that's with them is a guy that's promoted many other things and not paid many other bands. So if you're a fan of Wigwam, I really hope they come back, but I hope they come back with someone that will fucking pay them. I really hope COVID wasn't an excuse. But here's where I'm going to touch on. Mert and I have been to a couple of gigs together recently. I've gone with my wife. Mert and I got a couple coming up. People pay a lot of money to go to gigs, okay? Like, we're lucky that we what we do, we get pretty cool access. You know, people go to me, oh, you get paid for your photos. Well, no, I don't, but I get access to great gigs, and that's payment enough for me. We have been to some gigs lately. Now, the last one, I think it was Hailstorm was the last one that my wife and I went to. Why the fuck do people write themselves the fuck off at gigs? Like, why are you that obliterated on whatever substance you're on, alcohol, drugs, whatever, that you're willing to piss away what you paid to see a gig and see a great band because you think you're fucking cool by being wasted? You're a dumb fuck.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And it's just so many people get dragged out, and you know, that vibe is ruined for everyone. The band, the groupies. There's no need. You're right. There's no need to be a wanker. No need to be a dickhead. And I don't get it either. I don't understand it.
Yeah, we were there. We're at a great venue. You know the Tivoli. You love the Tivoli like we do. The walls of the Tivoli are adorned with framed gig posters from all the previous shows. This guy was that fucked up. He was taking out frames left and right. And the venue manager there, I've got to get a name, but the venue manager of the Tivoli is the best venue manager I've seen in Australia. Will not take a lick of shit from anyone. We love her to death. She's fucking brilliant. But, like, they just want to fight. They want to fight. It's like, you've just paid, let's just say $100. Let's just say $100. You paid $100 to get into a gig. You're paying whatever you're paying for drinks. For you not to remember the gig that a band has flown halfway across the world to go to. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's madness. You're right. And it's just, even in the Pussycat set, I had one guy next to me that was clearly under the influence quite heavily, who was attempting, and I do believe he succeeded after I gave the nod to one of the guys on stage, to steal the picks from the microphone stand and to be a dead set flog. But I think they're onto him. Mate, just ask nicely. And, I'm sure Sam would have handed you a pick. Don't be fucking a flog and try to snatch them off the stand and be a dick. But a little bit of, bit of love I gave him, but that was about it, really.
Don't ruin everyone else's night just because you can't contain yourself. And honestly, because you think you're fucking cool. You're not cool. You're a fucking dickhead. Stop it.
Yep, agree.
You've just copped the dad voice from here to Zen. Don't be a fuckwit.
Don't be a fuckwit.
Okay, so we've got that little bit. Now, let's get into some really cool shit, okay? We both want to give a massive shout-out to Silverback Touring. Danny and his team, Danny Bazzi, he started 5 years ago, right around the same time that I decided to branch out from all the stuff I was doing and do here to Zen. So we're about the same age in publication and business-wise. He is just a big music fan. He's a big music nerd. He wears his heart on his sleeve. But the head gorilla, as he likes to call himself, has the biggest set of fucking balls of anyone I've ever seen. Like, amazing.
Look, I totally agree, man. And, I guess to be shot down in flames with bands for unforeseen circumstances, cancelling, the money, the time, the effort, the investment, the personal investment, the physical, the mental, everything that guy and the team have to put up with. My God, if it wasn't for them, half the gigs wouldn't happen. So, you know what, for us diehard fans of the 80s, 90s, so many bands that I can be thankful for that have and will be touring thanks to Silverback. And you know what? Support these guys, turn up to the gigs. They so deserve it because they got a lot riding on this. They got to pay the bands. They've got to, pay the accommodation, the airfares, oh my God, so much behind the scenes that goes into this stuff. And that's why the ticket prices are what they are, and that's why we have to do what we do. But you need to support this. And yeah, man, 100% to the Silverback team. What a great crew. What down to earth guys. And thank you for what you do.
And even if you're not into the rock, they've also got Delta Bravo touring, which does more of the R&B side of things as well. They've done some great stuff there, which is only going to grow. But at the end of the day, Danny is just a big music fan. He wants the music to be heard.
He definitely comes across that way, and yeah, you're right. When we chat to him, he's such a down to earth guy and such a rocker. I've got another, I guess, shout out to people who are, there's a couple of guys who really, I see at every gig, Dane and Otto, and they're there at every metal gig. I have not introduced myself yet, and I should, but it's fans and people like that really make me smile. They support every gig. They travel Australia. They're there front and center, and they just make me smile. And I haven't personally met either of them, but next time I will introduce myself. But I see them at every gig, and I was going to shout out to those guys because they make it all happen as well. They're just awesome.
Yeah. I don't think there hasn't been a rock or a metal gig in the last 2 years that either I've been to, we've been to, where they're not front and center. Like, they don't just hang at the back. They're there on the rail, amongst it. It's fun.
Yeah, look, as I said, I'm going to say good day next time. But each time I had the opportunity, I seem to be further back or, whatever the circumstance. But, shout out to those guys. And they're, good on them, I reckon. Legends.
Yeah, they are legends. And, like you said, we might have to have them on a future episode of What the Hell Happened, because they're probably at more gigs than we are.
I reckon you're right. And what the hell did fucking just happen?
Yeah, we ruined some people.
Wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last.
Wouldn't be the last. God help February.
God help February. And maybe there will be a structure, or maybe there won't be a structure to this.
Well, if more people subscribe and like and comment and share, they can share what they do and don't want to see. And if they'd like us to stop fucking swearing, we will. That's probably not going to happen. But, you know, we're just here to have fun. We're here to promote. Yeah, we've got a publication. Yeah, we've got a podcast. Yeah, we get out to some gigs, but we're fans of music. That being said, there's lots of cool shit coming up in February. Big tour got announced today. We'll talk about that in the recap. But is there anything that coming up that we've got a gig on Sunday?
Sunday, darkest.
Yeah, darkest hour.
Yeah.
And I'm at
cool.
I'm at the Gimmies tomorrow night at the Tivoli. That should be pretty interesting. Super Jesus Saturday night down the coast. It's all happening, kids. It's all happening. I'm really hoping there's a couple of bands I really want to see get announced. I really want to hope we see an Alter Bridge tour by the end of the year. Their last album cycle got screwed right in the pooch by COVID. The new album's pretty killer. You know, there's a couple of bands like that. Trying to think who else I'd really like to see come back. I'd like to see Airborne do a headline tour. I think that'd be a bit of fun.
They're cool. They're a consistent rock band. I really like them as well. Very they've stuck to what they do best, and yeah, they've always put on a good rock show.
All right. We ruined everyone.
We probably did. Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Sorry about wasting, or you may have enjoyed it. I don't know. Tell us.
Well,
who knows?
Before we go, Mert is actually about to bust his Here to Zen interview cherry tomorrow.
Oh shit, that's right. I am so.
Yeah, well, it won't be tomorrow. Well, I might be able to get this up in the morning, but look for Mert chatting with Satchel from Steel Panther about their new album. Yeah,
I have a feeling that's going to be a bit of fun somehow.
Yeah, wear two pairs of underpants in case Satchel's that funny.
Oh dear. Yeah.
All right, mate. I will let you go back to your evening. I'll go back to my evening. Have a lie down, everyone. We know it wasn't that bad. Maybe it was. Do we care? Not fucking really.
Yep. Like what he said. Simple as that.
Yeah.
No, thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and thanks for the chat, dude. So it was fun. Let's do it again in February, unless they don't want us to do it, but we wouldn't give a fuck anyway. We're still going to do it.
Look, that one viewer, which will be me, we'll watch the next episode too. So whatever.
Nice. Cool. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Bye.
Cheers, man. See ya.
The world is a vampire.
The Smashing Pumpkins are coming down under this April for their World is a Vampire Festival. With special guests, Jane's Addiction, Amel and the Sniffers, and more. Plus, professional wrestling, the NWA versus Australia's best. Tickets on sale now at oneworldentertainment.com.au. The Smashing Pumpkins World is a Vampire Festival. Get your tickets now.